and welcome to Broker Tools, where we unpack the tools, systems, and strategies that help brokers optimize the way they work. I'm Katie, your host, and today we are catching up with Stephen Soo from Stephen Soo Coaching. For those of you who don't know Stephen, he is a broker coach who helps brokers master their leadership mindset and manage their risk well. If you've been looking to scale your broker business, then Stephen might be the coach for you. Stephen, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me. It's so fun. So fun. I know that we were having a chat about 5 minutes ago. It was so much fun. I cannot wait. The list of questions and the value that I'm going to provide. Absolutely amazing. I'm wrapped.
I know. And you and I, along with Christian Patterson, who I lovingly call CP, we were going to do this again because you and I had riffed with him on another episode, which unfortunately had tech issues. And that's okay. We're going to turn them into shorts. But for those who haven't watched any of those pieces of content beforehand, can you give us a little background on, I guess, who you are? How did you become a broker coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an international award-winning business coach, helping brokers really to transform their challenges, right? Their struggle, their worries into commissions, and sustain the commissions and also increase the business value. That's what I do for brokers in Australia. So yeah, and how I got into broking. So I've been in the financial industry for many years, and I've seen what worked, what didn't work, and what could be better in the corporate world. And obviously, in the corporate world, there's always that red tapes and that resistance that comes along in the corporate world, right? So once I come out of the corporate world, it's a no-brainer, right? Really easy decision to help the brokers because I know there's a lot of support that the brokers need, not just writing the loans, but to also write better loans, right? Not just to find leads, but to find quality leads, right? Not just to get the commissions, but to get the commission and sustain the commission as well. What you need to do from a business perspective to sustain that business and increase the business value and grow your business sustainably. And hopefully with a few more people, few more team members in your team.
Yeah, and I actually like how you framed it because, commissions are great, but unless they come from quality commission, like quality lead referrals, rather, there's a higher risk of clawbacks because they've decided to refinance with somebody else. And what you're doing with the systems and the processes that you take brokers as a coaching process through is making sure that those lead qualities not only meet those like basic standards that qualify as a good lead, but that you can actually sustain the relationship past that first one.
100%, right? And you sort of need to have a process in place to consistently nurture your leads all the way through, right? So once you have a system that you follow or your team follow with you and for you, and that it makes it so much easier to nurture your leads all the way from day dot to when they are warm enough to work with you, right? Say, you know what, I'm working with CP or someone else because really connected with that person, or in this case CP or someone else, right? And the chances of that client of yours leaving will be a lot lesser.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like we've always said, it's the quality that matters, not the quantity of leads over time. And we've always talked about AI and the integration of AI, but these are the human elements that will never be outdone by AI.
No, absolutely. And I was just saying this to my client the other day that we love quality, we love quantity as well. Let's focus on quality before quantity, right? Focus on quality, get your system, your processor down pat, and then you can replicate the quality at a much larger scale, right? And that's where quantity comes in. And absolutely, AI is amazing. It's a really amazing enhancer, right? To enhance, to be more efficient, to get more time back into your day, right? To do more higher value activity, i.e., right, building client relationship, right? Having the conversation belly to belly, right? I'm really old school, right? I'm as you can tell, I'm 60-year-old, right?
You're holding your youth well.
I'm absolutely right. AI is amazing. It's a great enhancer, but nothing beats belly to belly conversation, and really just gives you more capacity and time and effort, not effort but time to build better connections, deeper connections, right, with a wider community as well. So yeah.
And I guess one of the things I've learned in my time of building out workflow automations is you can create the system and you can create the process for any business and any organization, but unless you're running it through your own lens of a mindset of why you actually have those systems and processes in place, none of it's going to work. One of the things that I also love about you is that you're an NLP master coach. How do you take people through that journey? Because again, yeah, sure, we talked about lead quality, but there's that massive part of mindset as well, because a system is a system, a process is a process, but you at the end of the day are the leader of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, leads is one thing, but how do you show up, right, to your meetings, for example, right? Are you showing up to the meeting with, say, 20% of your battery life, that the meeting requires you to be at 100%? Right? Are you giving yourself the capacity to recharge, reset, refocus, recenter yourself, and get back up to, let's say, 80 or 90%, as close as you can to that 100%, to get more out of it, right? There's a lot of the mindset. There's also a lot of how you're taking care of yourself in that way, right? And how you interpret information as well during the meeting as well, right? Because when you enter a meeting with the best intention, sometimes that you get you get thrown a curveball, right, in the meeting, right? And we have one of those too many. And then how do you interpret the information? And that's really important. And that affects your next action, your next decision, the next thing that you're going to say, the next thing that you're going to do with that lead or with the client, right? And that determines the experience that you both are going to have, right? And so if you look at it from a compounding perspective, right, the positive compounds, so does the negative, right? So it's all about what's within your control, and what's within your control that you can influence on to take better control of the situation.
Yeah, I actually agree wholeheartedly. In my own mental health and my own personal well-being, I have what I call a default setting. So rain, hail, or shine, if something crappy happened 5 minutes ago, she pretty much will come back to like chippy champagne girl within reason. Because if I'm still in an environment that still makes it not so great, but you can't necessarily change that. For example, I heard news the other day, somebody in my family passed away, and it's really like, as in, it has impact, and you sometimes just have to go to your next meeting and do that meeting without thinking about that situation. And sure, you should grieve, but sometimes you still have to continue with your day. So how do you push through? It's creating those default settings. It's not that you don't take it in consideration. It's what do you have in place
to get through
it?
Right. And I've seen so many brokers having that back-to-back meetings. Right. It's great, but not knowing that having the back-to-back also doesn't help you in terms of showing up in your best ability, and and putting your best foot forward in having that back-to-back, because the first couple of meetings is fine. After 5 or 6, then you get tired, you get fatigued, and then you get influenced by all your previous meetings outcomes, right? And that you are unconsciously bringing that along into your next meeting, right? So you need to give yourself the space to, like I said, the reset, to recharge, to recenter yourself, so that when you go in with as much as you can,
with a blank page.
That's it, right? As much as you can. Yeah. And something that I thought of while you were talking there just now, Katie, was that, look, all of us have we have our own set of programming, right? And and that determines how we show up, how we interact, how we lead, and how we communicate, and how we do things on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the question that I asked again my client recently is, what if the things that you have been taught wasn't correct? What if you have been taught the wrong thing?
How
right?
do you
What if you have been taught the wrong thing? Right. So something to think about, to reflect on for you is, what if the things that you've been taught before at school, or by your parents, or by your mentors, or by a coach, right? What if it's not the right thing? I'll give it an example, right? Something that I thought this is the best thing ever, until I thought, like, you know what, this is not. And that thing was, growing up, my parents and my teachers and everything told me this, right? That, hey, Stephen, treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, cool. Right, I'll treat you how I want to be treated, and I've used that for a lot of my years, growing up. Right? Some hits and misses, right? And I'm like, okay, so it is what it is. And then now I realized that a couple of years ago, I realized this, that treating others how you want to be treated, you always put your own bias into that interaction. You don't really know that person, how they want to be treated, right? So you put your own biases in there, right? That person might not be feeling 100%, but I'm feeling 100%, right? So I'm coming out like, yes, hey, how you doing? And that immediately breaks rapport. Yeah. So it's always worth challenging your own beliefs, your own understanding, and see if there's something that you need to improve on, you need to work on, right? In this example, then you might want to do this is, treat others how they want to be treated.
Yeah, because you're really flipping the conversation. And again, it's all nuanced. Like everything is context, because and this is the thing that within our mindset, we sometimes make hard and fast rules when it's not always a hard and fast rule. Because for example, if someone likes to treat others badly, it doesn't mean they want to be treated badly. And they may not even know what they're doing is quote unquote bad. Do you know what I mean? Because some people come across really gruff, if you know what I mean.
And gruff as in very, what do you mean by gruff? Sorry.
Gruff, as in they could be like short with their words. They could be to the point. And it means sometimes it sounds like they're dismissing you, but really they're not. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so how do you treat this person and how you want to be treated, and trying to find the middle ground of that?
Yeah,
it can be nuanced.
It can be nuanced, and it takes skills and, of course, practice. But you got to have that awareness, number one, and step into that awareness and improve how you want to do things differently, right? So when you want to do, treat others how they want to be treated, like I said, gruff, which I learned a new word today, which is amazing.
I'm such an Aussie.
I'll tell you what, I'm becoming better Aussie now. Thank you, Katie. Look, there's I'm sure you heard of the DISC framework, DIS and C.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
DISC analysis, right? So I'm a DISC consultant.
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So when I say graph, immediately comes to mind is that it's just the way they interact, right? It's very dominant. They're short, sharp, no mucking around, boom, right? As compared with someone like C, right? They're like, take their time, spend their time talking through things, and not as punchy, right? So it's just understanding and having the awareness of who that person is in that situation, whether it's going to be like a Donald Trump, right? Fast, my way or the highway, or someone else, right? So you can then show up differently, right? Treating them how they want to be treated, and then from there build better rapport. Then you can influence them, right? And hopefully you get to convert those conversations, those relationships, right? Those deals into your book.
Yeah, and this is the gift of doing any of those types of things with DISC, because my sister is also a DISC profiler, and she's also a train the trainer. So when she talks about these as profiling systems and how you train communications within a team, it's not hard and fast rules, because sometimes I'm more on the I side with a little bit of C, so I do a lot more influence and systems as a process, but with a dominant kind of process thinker, that can be too much at one moment in time. So what I need to do is do short, sharp, and then take them through a system and process, because once they've got the short bites, they now know how to process the longer bites.
100%. Yeah, and you also do not want to pigeonhole someone or yourself in that category, right? Because it based on situations, based on the environment that you're in. One environment, like you say, in one environment you are a D, another environment you're an I, S, and C, right? It's about having the appreciation, awareness, and then using that to your advantage, right? And give you that the unfair advantage, right? Which is absolutely amazing, and that builds better relationship. So look, and I think what's amazing is to having the appreciation and awareness of who you are from a DISC profiling perspective, and then you can then develop that skill set to develop to interact more with other people, right? And having the appreciation with others.
Yes, and I think these are like systems and processes fundamentally, because if you understand one, how you operate, you can then learn how others operate, and then you create this skill of adaptability to the environment or the person that you're with. And obviously you get to still be true to yourself, but again, you're running in systems and processes throughout it, because you're going, oh, I see, this is how you like to be spoken to and interacted with, so I will adjust my communications to meet this kind of communication that you need to get us through this lead process that I actually have to take you through, because it's a standard operational process.
100%, right? And also, certain things that you need to say more, and certain words that you want to avoid, certain things that you want to do less, and certain things you want to do more, right? With the intention of building better rapport, relationship, trust, right, and take things forward. Boom.
And and this is that part that makes it a bit more easy for you to do leadership and scaling, because again, if you are learning who you are and how you operate, how you want things run, and then you have your teams underneath it, and also the clients that go alongside it, this is the one channel that you can actually take the people through.
Absolutely. The more that you have in your tool belt, the better it is, right? Because you can then have more tools to use in that situation, and helps you.
Yeah, and I guess this is that whole managing the risk well component of what you do, because there's what we call human elements of the risk, and this is like offending someone. And not that you don't want to offend somebody, because sometimes it's actually good to offend some people, because you may not want them in your lead pool. But it's risk looks like different things to different people. It's not just fraud.
Yeah, there's so many risks in there. There's business risk, there's fraud risk as part of business risk, there's operating risk, there's financial risk, there's credit risk, there's clawback risk. There's so many risks, right? Lead generation risk, and so many risks in there. So yeah, I think I've spoken to a number of brokers, right? Whether they are new, established, or even brokerage as well. Especially new one, I don't think they focus too much on the risk management side of it for the reason. But for established and the brokerage, I don't think that they are spending enough on the risk management side. As when they grow or when they want to sustain their business as a brokerage, right? They need to focus more on the risk element in the business, and number one, identify what risk in the business. What's the status of the current risk? What are they doing to mitigate or to manage that risk, right? And what are they doing to consistently manage that risk, and through themselves, or if they have a team, through the team members, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a clear plan of action, number one, or they don't have the visibility or the level of appreciation needed for them to sustain their business.
Are you happy to go through some of those risks? Because I think it'll actually matter in conversation, generally speaking, because risk looks like different things. And there are some things that you don't even think of are a risk, but could be.
Yeah, absolutely. So if an established broker, looking at hiring, but has been holding it off, right? So, okay, what if it doesn't work out? What if the team that I've been training on for the next 2 months, and then she or he decides to leave, right? Yeah. There is a risk. Now, the bigger risk is doing it yourself. So you have key dependency risk, right? Purely depending on that sole broker, right? If that broker is unwell, things stops, right? Not only want to do it for them or with them. It also brings down the value of the business, right? So putting them in a really tight spot, which many broker does, right? In this situation, and then increases the operating risk as well, right? You don't have it could be brokers that everything up in here, and not mapped out, not processes written down, right? So it's all up there. So there's operating risk in there as well.
Yes.
Right. So there's so many. So once those risks are not addressed, right, and then no matter how much you grow, the risk is going to be bigger and bigger and more significant, right, and makes it harder to manage, when the business grow bigger. So it's always wiser to manage your risk at the front, right? When the business is growing, not when business has grown to a certain level, right? You can, it depends on where you are, just that it needs more time to actually manage those risks because there's going to be a lot more risk in there.
Yeah. If you are a new broker, what would be the top risks that you would first mitigate?
The mindset risk,
Mm-hmm.
which is okay. So something I mentioned to a new broker, I think back in was it November or even let's call it November, right?
Okay.
And I mentioned to him, this is amazing. You have a great plan for growing your business, which is great over the next 3 to 5 years. Amazing. A question that I asked him was this, right? Does he see himself as a broker that tries to be a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
or does he see himself as a business owner that provides broking services? Yeah,
That's two very different things.
absolutely, right? And then his response was like, "Yep, I'm a business owner that provides broking services." And I said, "Amazing, that's cool. Now
Yeah.
let's have a look at the action that you have planned out." It's all coming back to broker trying to be a business owner, right? So you can tell yourself one story, but the reality is, the fact is that you are operating in another, right? So once you have that clarity, that visibility, then you can then make a decision, okay, what sort of business and how you're going to grow your business, right? Now, I know some of the brokers will say, yep, I'm happy to be a broker and that's it. I don't want to be a business owner, but I'm happy to be a broker, do end-to-end.
Yep.
And that's by design and that's okay,
Yes.
right? And then you're happy to do end-to-end, long hours, having the key dependency risk and, having all the risks in your business and you're happy to wear it. And that's okay. It's their decision, right? So once you have that clarity, and then you can then grow your business to a level that you are happy with, right? And I see a lot of brokers having that misalignment in terms of expectations and reality.
Yeah. I kind of liken it to a doctor. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the different risk. If you own a doctor's surgery, you have to make sure that the rooms are filled with the right doctors in it to deliver doctor services. But if you are a doctor, then you have to fulfill the risk. And if you were doing it in a solo office, not an officer of office, then you're at a higher risk, because if for whatever reason life happens to you and you are not able to meet the needs of your patients, then the patients become at risk. And in this environment, it's your clients who are going through the loan process. If a ball drops, where do you pass it so that it's not catastrophic?
100%, right? And also deprive yourself from doing what's the best thing for the business, right? If you choose to be a business owner that provides brokering services, right? Yeah, you also doesn't have the capacity because you're doing it yourself. Number one, you are also giving into your fear, your limitations, right? We know that, right? And it's not serving you. And the second, and the third thing is that you're also not doing your business service, right? You're doing your business a disservice.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, brokering it's supposed to be a business, not just a service. And I guess how you want to do it, always obviously work to your strengths. That's what we always recommend. But if you are the only strength in your system, you also have to remember you're human. And humans have system malfunctions just like technology. And so when the system malfunctions, at least have a contingency plan in place, where you can get a locum. That's what the doctors use, a locum doctor, to come in place, or something like that. Obviously, I have no idea. Do broker locums exist?
No, I don't know. Maybe CP would know this, right? Because I haven't come across a locum broker, and and because I guess there's So I've not come across a locum broker.
No, I'm just riffing out of my brain, because I mean, as much as I know about brokers from a workflow automations point of view, I really am still learning a lot about the broker industry. And this is why we're having these conversations, because there are moments like this where risk does occur, and what services, what people can come in place so that one, maybe you don't lose your business. Maybe you just take a 3-month holiday, but can get it back. If anybody out there has ideas, feel free to leave a comment below.
Absolutely. And that's where the team, the environment comes in really fitting in this sense, right? Because you want to take care of yourself, maintain your, and manage your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, right? So you need to have a team that supports you while you support your team as well.
Completely. And I think this is the gift of everything we're doing, because if you want to optimize and scale the way you grow, it's one, kind of knowing who you are as a person and how you want to operate. Whether you are a broker with a business that you provide brokering for, or you're looking to operate as a broker as a business owner who provides brokering services, neither is right or wrong. It's whatever works for you.
100%.
But if you are acting in your own behavior and your own mechanisms and in your own thinking as a broker who delivers broking services rather than a business owner operating as a broker services, then, maybe chat to Stephen, because it is a mindset shift, because you're obviously, when your behaviors are dictating what you're doing. And if you can't change the way you work slightly from a mindset point of view, then the outcomes are not going to be what you're looking for.
110%. It all comes back down to mindset, right? Mindset is everything. In anything that we do, business, broking, family, personal life, right? It's all coming back down to the mindset. And the mindset that we have dictates the action that we take. The action that we take dictates the experience that we get to experience. And the experience that we get to experience, right, dictates the belief that we have. Right? Sort of going back in one full circle, right? When we whether it validates our belief or whether it challenges our belief to grow better, to grow more, to grow differently.
Yeah. And if you are looking to elevate yourself, then this is probably one of the best conversations you could ever have. Because you really don't realize how your behaviors are. Because if your outcomes are not matching the goals that you've set for yourself, there's a misconnection in that process.
Yeah. Your outcome needs to match your reality. If it's not, okay, something needs to happen, something needs to change along those lines, right? So that your outcome meets your reality, your outcome meets your expectations.
Stephen, if people wanted to reach out and have a further conversation with you, where should they go and what should they do?
Where should they go? I tell you what, let's not hope. There we go.
Oh, look at that. You've got a QR code. Look at that. If you're too lazy to use a QR code, it's Stephen Soo coaching.com.
Yep, that's the website. Connect with me on social media as well. Or send me an email at steven@stephensoocoaching.com. Boom.
Nice.
Easy.
If anybody has any further questions for Stephen and I, if you want us to host another podcast, feel free to comment below, and do all the good things like share, comment, and like.